In 1962, Edison High School in Detroit was rocked by tragedy. Principal Arthur Grayson, known for his strict discipline, was found dead in his office under mysterious circumstances. Some say it was a heart attack, others whisper it was something darker. Years later, the school reopened, and strange rumors began. Students spoke of a shadowy figure roaming the halls late at night, a faint echo of footsteps trailing behind. Teachers dismissed the stories, chalking it up to overactive imaginations, until the night of the annual science fair. In 2016, Jason, a senior working on his project, stayed late in the school's lab. His friends had gone home, but he wasn't worried. As he worked, the lights flickered. He looked up annoyed, but the room was empty. Shrugging it off, he returned to his project. Then he heard it, a slow, deliberate knock on the door. "Who's there?" Jason called out. No response. He opened the door, but the hallway was empty. Shaking his head, he returned to his desk. This time, his chair scraped backward on its own. The faint scent of cigar smoke, Principal Grayson's favorite, filled the air. Jason froze as a cold hand gripped his shoulder. He spun around, but no one was there. Instead, on his desk was a detention slip, dated 1962, with his name written in bold letters. Panicked, Jason ran to the principal's office to call for help. As he entered, he saw a shadowy figure sitting in the chair. "You're late, Mr. Carter," the figure rasped, its voice hollow and cold. The shadow leaned forward, revealing a face half decayed, its eyes glowing faintly. Jason bolted from the school, abandoning his project. He transferred to another school the next week. To this day, Edison High students swear they can still hear the faint rustle of papers and the smell of cigars late at night. Principal Grayson is still there, waiting to enforce his rules, eternally. At Evergreen High School in Seattle, room 104 was once a standard classroom. But after a tragic incident in 1999, it was converted into the detention room, where troubled students served their time in isolation. What makes it infamous, however, is the belief that no one ever truly stays alone in room 104. The story goes that in 1999, a student named Kevin Martinez was accused of cheating on a math test. Known for being quiet and bullied by his peers, Kevin was sent to room 104 as punishment. Hours later, the janitor found him slumped over his desk. He had scratched a single word into the wooden surface: "Run." Kevin had died of what authorities called a sudden heart failure, though he was only 16 and in perfect health. Ever since, students serving detention in room 104 have reported strange occurrences. Some claim to hear faint whispers calling their names. Others say they feel a cold breath on their necks, even when they're alone. A few have even said they saw Kevin's reflection in the room's single cracked window. In 2021, a student named Mia was sent to room 104 for skipping class. She didn't believe in ghost stories and mocked her friends' warnings about the room. As she sat there scrolling through her phone, the lights flickered. Annoyed, she muttered, "Cheap school can't even keep the lights working." Then, the temperature dropped suddenly. Mia shivered and glanced around. She noticed a faint outline of writing on the desk she was sitting at, the same desk where Kevin had been found. She leaned closer and saw the word "run" etched deeply into the wood, though it hadn't been there when she sat down. The door to the room creaked open slowly, though no one was there. "Who's messing with me?" Mia called out, her voice trembling. She grabbed her bag and made her way to the door, but as she stepped out, the door slammed shut behind her, and she heard it, a low guttural whisper that said, "Stay." Terrified, Mia ran to the principal's office. The staff dismissed her claims as stress or a prank, but Mia refused to ever enter room 104 again, and she wasn't the last. A month later, another student serving detention ran screaming from the room, claiming he saw Kevin standing in the corner, staring at him with hollow eyes. To this day, room 104 remains the detention room, but students say if you sit there long enough, you'll feel Kevin's presence, watching, waiting, and whispering for you to stay with him forever. At Roosevelt High in Chicago, there's a locker no one dares to touch. Locker 313 stands apart, its surface scarred with deep scratches that no janitor has been able to remove. Students whisper that it's cursed. Back in 1985, a girl named Sarah was bullied relentlessly. Her locker, 313, was where her tormentors trapped her one day after school. By the time anyone found her, it was too late. Sarah had suffocated. After that, strange things began happening. Lights in the hallway flickered near 313. Students who taunted Sarah claimed to hear her voice whispering their names. 2 of them transferred schools, and another fell down the stairs and broke their arm. Decades later, in 2018, Rachel, a junior, was assigned locker 313. She didn't believe in ghost stories and thought the warnings were just silly gossip. One afternoon, as she stuffed books inside, the door slammed shut on its own. Rachel jumped back, startled. She tried to laugh it off, but then came a faint tapping. Tap, 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 from inside the locker. "Who's there?" Rachel whispered, her voice trembling. She hesitated, then opened the locker. Inside was a single crumpled note that hadn't been there before. It read, "Help me." Over the next few days, Rachel started seeing glimpses of a pale figure in the hallways. It always disappeared before she could get a clear look. At night, she dreamed of being trapped in a small, dark space, struggling to breathe. One day, she tried to confront the spirit. "Sarah, I'm sorry for what happened to you. What do you want?" she said aloud in the empty hallway. The lights flickered and a cold wind blew past her. The locker creaked open, and Rachel saw a reflection in the metal door. Sarah's face, pale and sad. The next morning, locker 313 was gone. The school claimed it was removed for repairs, but Rachel knew better. Still, every time she walks by that hallway, she feels a cold chill, as if Sarah is still watching.